Hello. This is Chogyal Rinpoche again. And ninth session of 100 Days Compassion Challenge. The Bodhicitta. The Bodhicitta is very important. The Bodhicitta, Bodhi means the awakened mind, or pure awareness, or non-duality, or the empty of ego, the empty of self-grasping. So the Bodhi. So Chitta, the Chitta means kind of the who have that element of Bodhi, or another way to say, to wish to awake the Bodhi in all the sentient beings, because the Buddha nature, the fundamentally or naturally all the sentient beings are Buddha, enlightened beings, but not realized, not realized that they are enlightened beings. And the Bodhicitta is that really wishing yourself to be realized that I'm enlightened being, and really wishing that every sentient beings to be realized they are an enlightened being. So the Bodhicitta is the heart of the Bodhisattva. The Bodhisattva is that who have Bodhicitta, that kind of aspiration. So there are two types of Bodhicitta, which we call aspiration Bodhicitta in Tibetan, Mönpa Semchi. And there's another Bodhicitta called Jukpa Semchi, which means the application Bodhicitta or the engagement Bodhicitta. Both are important, but this aspiration Bodhicitta and application or the engagement Bodhicitta, what does that really mean? Aspiration means you have this wish or you have a vision that you realized, you are awakened, you realize all the sentient beings are awakened, and you help sentient beings to realize they are awakened, they are Buddha. So that kind of wish, that great wish, So the aspiration is really wishing. It's more like not really like an action, but really like a wishing to see this kind of peace in the world, to awaken all the sentient beings. So the application Bodhicitta or the engagement is more like an action-oriented. The 6 paramitas, like a generosity and patient, and all those kind of effort, putting effort to do something, to awake, to realize you're awake, to realize you're Buddha, or realize all the sentient beings are Buddha. So for that you work for that. It's more like a application Bodhicitta is really like a putting action. Aspiration is more like you're thinking or visioning, but application Bodhicitta is like action. Action. But both are aspiration and application, both are, did you notice that? Both are functioning in a duality. Functioning in a duality, which means in a relative level. So that is called relative Bodhicitta. The both are aspiration Bodhicitta, application Bodhicitta, we call it relative Bodhicitta, which is important. But there's another Bodhicitta, we call it ultimate Bodhicitta, which is the ultimate, like an ultimate Bodhicitta, which is referring to Dharmakaya or nature of mind, and see, the relative Bodhicitta, there is this aspiration Bodhicitta and application Bodhicitta, which is important in this dualistic, until we are fully enlightened, or until all the sentient beings are fully enlightened, which means See, fully enlightened doesn't mean you are not enlightened. You have to fully enlightened means that this kind of realization that you are enlightened. And sometimes people have this realized, but just for a few seconds, they can't sustain that. They can't sustain that for long. So the fully means really like you sustain that not for a few seconds, not for a few minutes, but for hours and 10 hours, for days and for weeks and for months and for years and for until end of life. So that's which we call it fully awakened, means which means more like a sustain. So till then the relative bodhicitta is important, but that what do you call this? Ultimate bodhicitta is not something you practice, and it's something who you are. For example, the awakened mind, the Buddha nature, the Dharmakaya. You don't have to practice. You are Dharmakaya. You are awakened mind. You are your natural state of mind is, the non-duality, let's say, or beyond or empty of ego. The natural state. So it itself is the ultimate bodhicitta, the who you are. Ultimate bodhicitta is not something you practice. It's something you realize, which we call the wisdom. And in the mind training in Tibetan Buddhism, in the Vajrayana, there's this mind training. The beginning of the mind training, they always say, Chönam malam tawarsam. So what does that mean? It's a foundation to practice the mind training. You have to really see that world as an illusion, as a dream. What does that really mean? So that's this week talks, this week's we practice, to whatever you are seeing. For example, right now, quietly you open your eyes, whatever you are seeing, it's almost giving you illusion that you are seeing outside. The image right now you're perceiving, that you have this illusion that you are seeing outside, you are seeing the real world, but the reality is that what you are seeing right now, quietly opening your eyes, that you are seeing the image which is inside your head. Nobody in the earth, any sentient beings able to see the outside world. And it's just everything what you are seeing the image in your head. That's almost like watching a cinema, watching in a movie theater, So there is this projector is projecting the image in your head, and you are watching that right now. Even right now, you think like, oh no, I'm seeing this mobile, and quietly my open eyes, but the image you are seeing is inside. So that's the beginning of really going back to realizing or going back to natural state of mind, and the truth, let's say. So the first step is to accepting this simple truth that what I'm seeing is inside my head. So that's the first step to the ultimate bodhicitta. And the second step is, so once you realize it is inside your head, head is nothing but the brain, or head is nothing but the tools or machine for the mind, for the consciousness, let's say. And you realize the image is in consciousness. Okay, got it. Now within the consciousness, there is a subjective I who is watching that objective image. And there is a space between object and subject. But in the reality, in your consciousness, there is not separate kind of element of subjective who is a seer, and there is not another element for the objective, that image, and there is no separate, the space is separate than the object and subject. In the reality, the subject is consciousness, object is consciousness, and then the space between subject and object within the consciousness, it's also consciousness. So that's the second step to kind of going back to the ultimate bodhicitta, or the truth, is that there is no separation within the consciousness of subject, object, space. So now it become a oneness, it's a oneness. I'm perceiving as a separate, but there is no viewer, there's no seer, there's nothing to see, there's no space between that. The realizing this oneness, it's already coming back to the truth. So that oneness you can, like, it's a close to non-duality but not yet there, but it's a much subtle than the outer like a solid duality, or intermental duality. So now second step is done. Okay, you are just rest in this oneness, let's say, in consciousness. But is it the end of the ultimate bodhicitta, the truth? Not yet. So now the end is to even letting go that oneness, the concept of oneness, the concept of emptiness, the concept of that dharmakaya, the nature of mind, concept of mahamudra, the dzogchen, the so on and so forth. Just letting go all the concept, and you are back to that, let's say, the pure witness. So that, or sometimes people call pure awareness, but not as a subject object. It's just naming it. Don't be confused with it. So going back or going beyond concept, going beyond samsara, nirvana, present, future, past, So that is what we call the ultimate bodhicitta. I hope you get it. I hope you are not messed up or so. So that's that. At least this week task is to maintain or remind yourself that everything what I'm seeing is not outside, it's inside. Just that's all. That's all. Before I was explaining the ultimate bodhicitta, there's 3 steps, but the task is very simple. Just whatever you are seeing, and remind yourself. It doesn't matter the house, the wall, the tree, the mother, the father, the daughter, the son, your manager, the colleagues, or whatever, the buildings, the car, whatever you see in the sky, the mountain, the tree, the water, whatever you see, including your food or the toilet. So just remind yourself, I am seeing all those images in my head. It's not far there, it's inside. So just that, just remind, just remind that, So that's the beginning of the mind training, and it's powerful to really like a kind of understanding the ultimate bodhicitta, and having an ultimate bodhicitta, the realization, and then it really helped that relative bodhicitta. The absolute bodhicitta, of course, help the relative bodhicitta, and relative bodhicitta, that aspiration and application bodhicitta will get even stronger. They all are interconnected. Thank you for listening. See you next Sunday in the Zoom. I think it was like 8 a.m. the Berlin time. No, every Sunday. Now the next one is the 10th session, I think so. Bye. See you in the Zoom. You still can register. And you still can listen all the compassion challenge, the Zoom teaching the audio. You can just register in the learning platform. And you can register the Zoom so you can join the next Sunday. See you next Sunday. Bye. That's a fake smile.